Hi, this is Jason Len with AM Exteriors. I'm doing another video here. We're talking about window install today. So we use a system called Sill Saver, and we're using it with the Vaproshield components here. You can see in the sill here we've already got it wrapped. We've got the paper here. This extends about 9 inches down and then about 9 inches over on the sides. And then we've got these preformed corners that we're using here in the corner. And then we put the sill in after that. And it's really important to know how to do your windows and doors right. Windows and doors can be a huge source of leaks and problems if they're done wrong. So we found that this system works really good. So this is a system we typically recommend. It's one of the most cost-effective systems as well. So anyways, we're going to walk you through step by step how to install a window today. To note is that on this specific project we have these green corners specified. They're made by Moist Stop. It's just a preformed corner. You put the WRB in first, this goes over top and just gets stapled in. But you can use other corners and other systems. This is another one. It's made by a company called Rain Screen. So that just fits in there like that. Pretty much the same install. And then you can even do like a Vaproshield pre-finished preformed corner. These are a little bit more expensive, but they work with the Vaproshield system, so you get more of a full warranty with it. So just to note that you can use other systems. We just are using the Moist Stop one because that's what's specified for this project. Now we get into the actual window installation. The first step is to secure the window pan in place. This pan has been pre-cut to size in this example. You want to put a nail in each corner, and then typically for a medium-sized window, one in the middle as well. It's important that the nails in the corner are going to be covered by the corner shims that you're putting on. The next step, you want to apply the PVC glue at the areas in the corners, extending up onto the Moist Stop preform corners, getting it really good in there like you can see all the way on the back dam as well. You're also going to apply it to the shim areas as well in the middle of the wall. In the middle of the pan. Just like he's doing there. Again, you want to make sure you get that back dam as well. Notice how the nail in the corner there is going to be covered by the preformed corner. You can see he's applied glue over the top of that. Next, you want to put glue on the shims and set them in place. Make sure that the slope is correct. The larger side of the shim should be outwards towards the wall, and the skinnier side should be in towards the back dam. Those should set up pretty quick, so you don't need to hold them in place very long. Next, we're going to apply glue to the back of the corners and stick those in place. And what this does is, by having glue on both surfaces, that really helps bond them together quickly, fast. You have to hold these in just a little bit longer, a little bit more, make sure they set up, but they still set up pretty fast. And you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Make sure you got your corners on the right way. You can see that little lip in the back is what goes towards the back dam. And then make sure you put glue on the back dam as well, just to adhere that part to the back dam of the windowsill. That's a really important part. Because if water is going to get in, it's going to get in at that joint. So you just hold that for a little bit, and it should set up pretty quick. Now we're ready to start installing the wrap. First thing we're going to do is measure. So mark it out on the wall. It's always a really good thing to do instead of just eyeballing it. So he's got it marked out 9 inches on all sides except for the bottom, which we've already done. Next, you're going to take that wrap, you're going to set that in place, line it up with those marks on the outside, staple it in place, and then basically you're just going to notch that bottom around the corner there, and then also cut out that section right there. We don't want that to fold over, that would create a reverse lap. Staple it to the inside, make sure it's secured to the outside. You can pretty much repeat that procedure for the other side. Again, securing it to the outside, cutting out the bottom, wrapping it around to the inside, and securing it on the inside. Yep, cut that bottom piece out just like that. Next step, we're going to install the preformed corners at the top before we put our head wrap in. Just secure it with staples. Make sure you got the right side going in. On these moist top corners, that triangle part is on the outside and the square part is on the inside. And trim your paper a little bit so that it's at your 9-inch mark. That's what he's doing right there. And then you're going to do your head wrap. Again, line it up with the marks. Make sure it's extending to the outside at least 9 inches. He's pounding down any nails so they don't show through. Notch the corners with a knife so it can fold into the jamb. Attach it to the inside. And there you go, you're pretty much ready to set your sealant. Here we're using Dow 758, but you can use any of the project approved sealant that you're working on. We find that Dow 758 is one of the best for adhering to multiple surfaces, including almost every single WRB surface. First you're going to do the back dam and the corners, and then you're going to do the sides. You want to make sure that your sealant bead is fairly close to the edge of the rough opening there, because the intention of this is to seal the window flange to the wrap and to the building. Again, you're doing the sides first, the jambs first, and then you're doing across the head next. But a pretty healthy bead of sealant in there too. You want to make sure it's probably about a good 3/8 to 1/2 inch wide. Carefully pass that window out. A little tricky at the upper elevations. Set that window in place. Make sure it seats in really well. Wipe any caulking off your hands. And then the guy inside is basically looking to make sure it's centered. Once he gives you the okay, then you can secure it with some screws. But make sure he's going to go through an adjustment process here to make sure the window is closing and operating properly. Then you can throw some screws in it. And we're just doing a couple screws to start, because then we want to check it for level, or plumb in this case. And then check it for level as well. Looks like he's good plumb on that side. Checking for plumb on the other side. Looks good. Checking for level. Level's not quite there maybe. Checking the bottom. And then adjust as necessary. Sometimes that might mean taking out a couple of your screws and resetting them. Once you've got it completely set and you've got everything adjusted properly, then you can start putting the screws in. It's important to remember too, you want to make sure you have enough sealant behind so that when you're putting these screws in, they're basically going to be embedded in that sealant. You want to do the sides first and leave the bottom for last. You also do end up putting some in the top in some cases. It depends on each different project. So once you've got the sides all secured, And you want to just pry out with a little pry bar at the bottom, not too much. Putting 1/8 inch horseshoe shims in with basically the circular part facing up. About every other hole, you're going to end up putting some screws in. The only step that I would add to this is that what I like to do is I like to actually fill those little holes with sealant before I set my screws. So I'll put the shim in and then I'll squeeze some sealant in before putting my screws in. But that's the only alteration I would make here. Other than that, this is a pretty solid install. What this does, it allows for drainage. Then you're actually going to end up going on the inside. You do have to install some caulking on the inside as well, just down at the bottom. You can see there it's about 6 inches up. Depending on the gap, you might have to use a backer rod. And once you've got that installed and tied in with the sealant you already installed, then basically you're going to be wrapping the sides with self-adhered membrane and the top with self-adhered membrane. And this is actually a fully completed photo. And you're also going to be installing a head flashing over top of that, and then that upper piece of WRB gets integrated with that.